Welcome back to Haunted Visions, where we dive into the darkest corners of the unknown. It's that time of year again, Halloween, when the veil between our world and the next feels just a little thinner. Tonight, we're bringing you 3 disturbing true stories that happened around Halloween. Stories that'll make you question what's lurking in the shadows. These are real accounts, some whispered in small towns, others documented in chilling detail. So, grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and let's get started. But be warned, you might not sleep tonight. First up, a story from a small town in Ohio that turned a Halloween prank into a nightmare no one saw coming. In Circleville, Ohio, Halloween 1976 was supposed to be a night of innocent fun. Kids roamed the streets, trick-or-treating under the glow of jack-o'-lanterns. But for one neighborhood, the night took a sinister turn. Locals still talk about the Pumpkin Man, a figure that appeared that Halloween and left a mark on the town forever. It started with a prank. Teenagers in Circleville were known for their Halloween mischief, egging houses, TP&G trees, the usual. But that year, someone took it too far. Residents began finding pumpkins on their porches, not carved like typical jack-o'-lanterns, but with strange, jagged symbols etched into them. Symbols no one could decipher. At first, people thought it was just kids being weird. But then, the pumpkins started showing up inside homes. Mary Thompson, a single mother, woke up on Halloween morning to find a pumpkin on her kitchen table. The doors were locked, the windows untouched. She hadn't bought any pumpkins that year. The carvings were crude, almost ritualistic, and they gave her chills. She called the police, but they dismissed it as a prank. That night, trick-or-treaters reported seeing a tall figure in a tattered coat, carrying a pumpkin with a flickering light inside, standing at the edge of the woods. Kids called him the Pumpkin Man. The sightings escalated. One family found their dog dead on their porch, its collar tied to a pumpkin with those same strange symbols. Another resident, an elderly man named Harold, claimed he saw the Pumpkin Man standing in his backyard, motionless, staring through his window. Harold said the figure didn't move when he shouted. It just stood there, the pumpkin's glow illuminating a featureless face. The next morning, Harold was found unconscious, with no explanation. He never spoke of it again. But when she looked at the monitor, it was displaying a steady heart rhythm. Not the flat line you'd expect from a disconnected machine, but the regular rhythm of someone sleeping peacefully. Linda checked the leads. They weren't connected to anything. The monitor was receiving a signal, but there was no source. She unplugged the machine from the wall. The rhythm continued, powered by the backup battery that shouldn't have been active. Linda stood there staring at the monitor, watching the steady heartbeat pattern that looked exactly like Mr. Chin's normal sleeping rhythm from the weeks she'd cared for him. Then the call light above the bed turned on. In an empty room, with no patient, the call light was requesting a nurse. Linda's training kicked in. She pressed the call button to respond and said, "This is Linda. How can I help you?" Silence. She tried again. "Hello? This is your nurse. Did you press the call button?" Then, through the intercom, she heard a voice she recognized. Weak, but unmistakably Mr. Chin's voice. "Linda, could you please turn down the lights? They're too bright." Linda felt her blood go cold. She looked around the room. Only the standard overnight lighting was on, the same dim level maintained in all empty rooms. "Mr. Chun," she whispered, "thank you for taking such good care of me." The voice continued through the intercom. "I wanted to make sure you knew. I'm comfortable now. The pain is gone." New Orleans is no stranger to the supernatural. But on Halloween night in 1998, a masquerade party at an old mansion in the French Quarter became the stuff of nightmares. The event was hosted by a wealthy eccentric named Victor Leroux, known for his love of the occult. He invited 50 guests to his historic home, promising a night of mystery and decadence. But what happened that night left everyone questioning reality. The party was lavish, candlelit chandeliers, live jazz, and guests in elaborate masks. Victor had one rule: no one could remove their masks until midnight. As the night went on, guests noticed strange things. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. Some swore they saw their own reflections in mirrors, but the reflections didn't move when they did. Others heard whispers coming from empty rooms, speaking in languages they didn't understand. At midnight, Victor gathered everyone in the ballroom for a special reveal. He stood on a balcony, holding a strange, antique mask that seemed to glow faintly. He began chanting in a language no one recognized, and the candles in the room flickered out. When the lights returned, Victor was gone. Guests searched the mansion, but he was nowhere to be found. The antique mask lay on the floor, cracked in half. The police investigated, but Victor was never found. Some guests claimed they saw him step into a mirror before he vanished. Others said they felt an unnatural presence in the house, like something had been summoned. The mansion was abandoned after that night, and locals say anyone who enters on Halloween hears the same eerie chanting Victor performed. Was it a prank, a mental breakdown, or did Victor open a door to something beyond our world? In 2012, a group of teenagers in a quiet Oregon suburb decided to play a Halloween game called Red Light. The rules were simple. One person stands at the end of a street with a red flashlight, while the others try to sneak closer without being caught in the light. If the light catches you, you're out. But for 5 friends, Jake, Sarah, Mia, Ethan, and Lily, this game became a nightmare they'd never forget. The group chose an abandoned road on the edge of town, lined with overgrown trees. Jake was the watcher, standing 100 yards away with the red flashlight. The game started normally, giggles, playful arguments, the usual teen stuff. But on the 3rd round, something changed. The red light didn't move. It stayed fixed, brighter than before, almost pulsating. Sarah whispered that it didn't look like Jake's flashlight anymore. The group called out to Jake, but he didn't respond. They crept closer, thinking he was messing with them. When they reached the spot where Jake was supposed to be, he was gone. The red flashlight lay on the ground, still glowing, but now it was impossibly bright, casting long shadows that seemed to move on their own. Panicked, the teens ran back to their car, but as they drove away, they saw the red light following them in the rearview mirror, hovering, flickering, chasing them. They made it home, terrified, and called the police. A search party found Jake the next morning, unconscious in the woods, miles from the road. He couldn't remember what happened, but he had strange burn marks on his hands, like he'd been holding something scalding. The flashlight was never found. To this day, the group refuses to talk about that night, but locals say the red light still appears on that road every Halloween, waiting for new players. Those WER 3 horror stories that left me speechless. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.